Hello everybody, and welcome to part 2 of the Reassembly modding tutorial. Today I'm going to be addressing. We're going to be putting a dressing over the salad. No, okay, sorry. Anyway, we're going to be addressing one thing I got wrong in the just kind of the last moments of the previous tutorial, as I was kind of trying to go through regions and factions just to get you into the sandbox, and also the video unfortunately cut out for some reason. I'm hoping that won't happen today when I go into the sandbox, otherwise I might have to record this a second time, so I don't know. This is again an impromptu thing. I'm going to try and go through this as naturally and cleanly as possible, but there might be some interruptions if I need to get something into there that just wasn't for some reason. Just the same thing as the first one. So okay, anyway, let's move on. So today, the beginner's second guide, we'll be going over regions, well, I went over it in pretty good depth, but I'll just go over it again. Factions, or should I say the regions bar and the factions bar, which have their own personal .luas within the file. I'm also going to talk to you quickly about a proper file structure for the system. So anyway, okay. Also, we're going to be understanding the sandbox so that we can start adding ships to a faction. Because as it stands, we have no ships in our faction. And if we were to go start game, say, let's go to a new save. Come on, load. You'd see the faction thing, but it says error because there are no ships. There's nothing. You wouldn't even get the core because none of it is actually in the I'll get to that in a second. Okay. Leave that there. So, alright, let's minimize this off. Nothing else I wanted to mention? No, okay. So, the first things first I do want to kind of get out there is a proper folder structure, just a nice quick linking system, because when you're modding you often have to refresh your game quite a lot, just to, you know, check over blocks and etc. So usually have Reassembly on the desktop, and also have yourself a nice quick link to the modding area. Now, last time I kind of quickly went over where it is located, but Reassembly mods are situated in your C drive, and the username, look for Save Games, Reassembly, and then you'll be in here, and then go into Mods. If you don't have a Mods folder, go right click, New Folder, call it Mods. Simple enough. Within there, doesn't really matter what's in here. Create a new folder, name it the name that you want for your faction. This is also the name that will show up when you publish it to the workshop. So, yeah, just something to keep in mind. You can change the name once it's on the workshop, but that's beyond the point. So we have this scientific fictismia. Now inside here we have our blocks.lua, we have our factions, and now we have our regions. Now something I got wrong with the regions was, just because I was trying to rush through it, I actually got this the wrong way around. As you can see, I've adjusted it. So this is the minimum value. So position range of this, positional range of the center of the region in the galaxy. It should also say positional range of the center of the region. So 0.0 is center, 1 is edge. So the maximum we want it to be is on the edge, and the minimum we want it to be is in the center. We don't want the minimum to be at the maximum to be at the minimum, otherwise there's madness, to put it simply enough. I actually want to decrease this by a little bit. Yeah, just so we have the sort of system. Is there anything else I think I messed up? No, I'm going to put this at 75 just for sanity's sake, and we'll leave this. And also I didn't set ambience. We want some plants. Always have some plants. I didn't mention this last time, but always have some plants for the sake of people being able to get resources. Green plants are your reliable go-tos. Blues usually die off too quickly. Pinks are just weird in of themselves. And then faction structures. I'll show you that later. Well, I'll also show you how to make seeds for a faction at the end of this. So wait till the end. If I forget it, it'll be in part 3. I'm going to try and churn these things out relatively quickly. There's nothing else I wanted to point out, was there? No, this is all untouched since the last time. Yes. Okay. So regions, we've just adjusted that. I'm actually going to now... It isn't necessary right now because we don't have any ships yet, but give me a second. I'm just going to pause, download this, save it, it'll download it, and then I'm going to move it to here. Give me a second. Okay, it's replaced, and you don't even notice a thing. Except that the date has changed. Anyway. Pardon me. So I'll show you how our seed system work. You can also see a selection of other items like root, which is how you would designate a structure. Root is not how you designate a plant, although actually it is, but I'll get to that in a moment. You should usually give a plant, if you want to... Okay, I'll get to that later. That's fine. So, okay, regions is fixed now. Now we have all that. Like I said, you should usually have a nice little quick way of getting there. So there's my downloads. Let's go to this. So blocks, etc. So what we're going to want to create in here is a folder called ships, all lowercase s. Okay, let's go and check the Orlando resonance ships. Okay, and then you can kind of see this is how we'll stick them all in, but we'll get to that in a second. You can also create any other folders in here. Say you want to say old ships, you can put that there, and that'll actually just, the game won't notice it, it'll ignore it entirely. So you can put old ship designs in here if you don't want them, or you want to keep them but maybe for some strange reason. Okay, so now that we have that, let me just restart Reassembly, because now I've updated the regions.lua. We actually need to restart the entire game for it to retake effect. Okay, so now what we're going to want to do is go into the sandbox. Like I said, I was going to show you a little bit about the sandbox. I haven't actually gone over factions or regions more, because I already went over them in the last moments. So we're actually going to define a starter blueprint in this episode, but we do need a ship before we can do that. Primaries, by the way, it has to do with your colors, so I should have turned this on. It should have been 2. That'll create issues at one point, so I'll just save that for the meantime. That's fine, I can just sit there, I'll do that later. If something explodes, I'll probably remember, but regardless of that. So let's go into the sandbox. Give me a second, I'm just going to stop the recording to make sure it actually recorded the sandbox, because last time when I went in, it crashed everything. Okay, it's working fine. So, in the beginning was the command line, and the command line is this block up here. So, within the sandbox, we have the abilities to call in palettes of all of the factions. So if we double click somewhere, this by the way is called the focus. If you double click somewhere, you'll set the focus in a specific area. Oh gosh, the sun's coming out. Here comes the sun. Okay, anyway. So you'll set the focus for where you want. When you execute actions, stuff will spawn here. So, okay, so let me quickly teach you some little keys for the editor. Sorry, I'm confused. 3 is construct, 2 is command, 1 is when you're actually. So we'll show you later. Okay, so for now we want to go to construct. So press 3 on your keyboard. There is a I think planters. Yeah, no. 0. Ooh, I just learned a new command. So press 9, apparently it repeats your thing. So here's the Orlando Resonance palette, if you want to know. Okay, so let's go. Now, palette is exactly what we want. We want that little list of there, because we can't actually go build a ship, because it's not actually going to display, like I showed you. So the way Reassembly works is that, I'll get to it in a moment. I'll rather show by doing so. P-A-L-E-T-T-E, palette, and then the number of your faction, so 50. And that'll give us our tiny little faction palette. Okay? Now, you could also call in the palettes of the Terrans if you wanted to say a size comparison or something. Now, you'll notice that not everything in the Terran faction is actually on their craft. So something like the Transformer and Teleporter, you never actually get to see those. And that's because they're not actually on any vanilla ships. So the way this works, I'll get a little more into that for a second. So let's go to press 3 for construct, and this works exactly the same way as it does in your normal ship editor. If I F11, this won't break the recording. Thank you very much. Okay, I don't think it has. Okay, so we have the reassembly core, which is our little thing. Also, by the way, it has a lifetime because I was an idiot. So give me a second, I actually need to fix something. That's quite sad. Give me a second. Okay, so what I did was I left lifetime on, as I'm sure the more astute of you would have noticed, which is hilarious. By the way, regrow, let's set it to 1 second, because it's fine. Obviously, the command core does no regrowing itself, but when it's built at a factory, that's how quickly it'll take to build. So we might actually want to put that at like a 5, for example. And this is honestly quite a chunky construct. By the way, the gun I'm now going over the things I got wrong. The gun actually doesn't shoot because it's expecting 0 power, but I don't have any power, so it's just like, what? But there is no power, but I want 0 power, but there isn't even 0 power because we're not even taking it into account. Is kind of how that's a bit broken. So we could have it at 0. But honestly, let's just put it at 5 for sake, and let's give our reassembly core the generator ability. Or in fact, let's give it generator, because it's always good to have your craft have a bit of generator. So here's generator capacity per second. Now generator capacity per second is, if you think of it, every second how much energy will it regenerate. So let's say it's going to regenerate 100 energy a second. Okay. Now power capacity is the same as sort of resource capacity. This is, well, it's not the same, but you understand it as the same sort of thing. It's what is the maximum amount of power it can store. So in 5 seconds it'll regenerate. It'll take 5 seconds for the ship to regenerate its full supply of power. That's quite generous, but then again, I'm being a very generous fellow with this faction. So this can now generate power, and the gunner can use it to shoot well. What else do I want? There's nothing. Okay, so that's all fine. I'm going to just save this, and I'll be back in a second. I can now fix everything, which is hilarious. Okay, so that is fixed. And we can minimize that. Give me a second. Okay, and we're back. Actually, I'm just going to quickly check that it's still recording again, because all the Sandboxiness is giving me a headache sometimes. Okay, it is. Alright, so in the beginning was the command line, etc, etc. So let's just go. By the way, you can press your up and down arrow keys to go through commands. Ooh, you can see the palette for 21. What is my 21 faction? Ooh, you'll never know. Palette. I don't want palette. What am I doing? In fact, do you want to know what my 21 faction is? By the way, if you're going to press enter out here, it has no effect. You have to have your cursor within the command line area. The Yolanda Resonance, the Yolanda Defenders was my first mod, as an amusing point. So let's go to 50. Okay, so here, and also, okay, it's all working nicely and properly. So let's take a core. So if you hold Alt and you drag, you'll create copies of it. So maybe you want a ship with 3 cores. That's not necessarily a good idea, because things can go crazy, and doesn't necessarily mean that you have 3 commands, and it can, if one of these dies, sometimes it can kill everything, sometimes it doesn't. It's a very finicky, so just don't do it. I'm actually just going to kill those all, because now it's confusing itself. So okay, we can just put it here. We can now take a bit of technetic structuring. Holding Alt, I can just copy it, put it everywhere. I don't want it like that. I want it like that, 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 that. Let's give it a nice port bow, shall we? Let's give it. I like ships that sort of do like, imagine like a Star Destroyer. That's sort of effect, but I really should have added this some like corner points or something. But whatever. We can make this work. I don't need corner points to be effective. We're gonna make an ugly block ship. That doesn't matter. Okay, so we're just going to make it look like that. That's fine. We can put some guns on it. Okay. Let's give it some thrusters. That's a nice thing about these sort of seed thrusters, is that you can kind of do this, which is always really funny to look at as well as to build with, because it's just actually surprisingly pleasing to build with. Just nice. Also means you can kind of do like this effect with your craft. You can do some you can do some stopping systems which you wouldn't normally be able to do with with like vanilla factions, which is a bit amusing. Okay, so we have that, and then we're going to give ourselves a tractor. Can I have a tractor? Vroom vroom. No. Okay, I didn't give our ship a tractor, did I? Talker assembler. I didn't actually give a tractor. That could be an issue one day, but oh well. For a vanilla faction, not giving it tractor, more quickly, for any sort of faction, not giving your command module tractor is actually a bit of an issue, but I didn't want to put it there just for sake of sanity while explaining stuff to you. So if we now, so we can right click on it to select the whole thing. We can actually hold Alt and copy it. Now if we go, so this has all been in construction mode, which is number 3. If we now press number 2, go to command mode, we can select it. we can press number 1 and we can actually fly it. So number 1 is your fly command. It's what you do to sort of do this thing. We can see that actually flies. It actually flies really nicely. And it shoots really nicely. You can press escape and you'll get into sort of a normal mode. And you can actually see your burst fire in work. I can't remember what I set it to, but yeah. So you can see that's quite a nice effectivity. Now this ship won't work on its own, so if I disconnect this click, it's just going to be dead. If you want to see it just fly around for itself, you'll have to type activate. And now it's alive and it's now going to shoot its own. It's going to shoot these like blocks. It'll shoot the passive blocks of your palette just because it does. Just because they aren't actually part of anything, and it's considered junk, so it'll just shoot it because why not? Kill junk and clean the area. Ships do that by it's actually just a nice little AI thing that Arthur Danskin did for his. He didn't shoot the command obviously because it's actually part of Faction 50. Yay! So we can remove that. Now, so we have a nice little ship. We kind of want to save it, and we want to put it into our mod. So let's click on it with command, or you could double click on it with construct. Either one works. Go up here and type export. Okay, space, and then open quote, and then close quote as well. So now go. This is purely for donating the name. If you want a name that says like the big ship, okay, for example, and you obviously want spaces between. So let's show me. Let's show me. Let me show you. The big. No, let's call this like the same. So. The gunny boat, I guess. The gunny boat Mark 1, why not? And then author name laps up now. So, okay. Putting these quotation marks in coding will register this whole thing here as one argument. Now, maybe you don't understand that, but for anyone hearing this, you understand what it means. So, export works as the export command, then the name of the ship, then the name of the author. So if I wanted to say Lapsap Now the Great, I'd have to put quotation marks because then it'll read the whole thing and put that as it. But if I have it as Lapsap Now the Great without quotation marks, it'll go, okay, this is the name of the ship, this is the author, and then this is some junk. And then it'll kind of discard whatever that is. So if I were to just have, say this, it would be export the by Gunny. It would be, the ship would be called the and Gunny, and the author would be Gunny, which is funny to think. So we want to make sure it's called the Gunny Boat Mark 1. So you put that, and I'm not going to call myself that because that's silly and hilarious. So now we enter. It'll export it to your desktop. You can also tell it where you want to export it, but that's a little more complicated for later. Okay. By the way, you can also go import. And they'll open up the nice little import area. You can see some residential ships and what the hell? Why is this pink? Oh, I know this was actually a ship that was sent in from someone using the Leporians, and they basically said, "Hey Laps, could I send you some ships?" And I said, "Sure." They sent me some ships, and they actually look quite nice. I just need to recolor them for obvious reasons. It's not the Leporian color scheme. Color scheme. Anyway, so here we actually have the gunny boat. We could click it and we could import it, and it'll be imported to wherever our focus is. So okay, nice. So now the gunny boat's there. Now we might have it exported onto the desktop, but it's not part of the faction yet. Okay, so let's escape. It's often a very good idea to export it twice. And then to not actually close the sandbox, but just to minimize it, just to make sure things don't, explode. Give me a second. Action was open in the background. I didn't want that to show. Okay, so now let's open the eccentric. We're gonna go find our ship. So the gunny boat Mark 1. We can just throw it in here. No, we can't. It needs to be in the ships folder. So you throw it in there. Now, if it's just like this in here, it's actually not going to work. We're going to have to rename it. Now, it doesn't really matter what's on that side of it, but what really matters is you define it. So the game needs to know that this folder is a ship and belongs to your faction. So we're gonna have to go. Well, belongs to faction 50. It'll know it's a ship, but or station, regardless. You just need to say 50 underscore, okay? And then anything after that will not really matter. So 50 underscore, and this could be anything, but I'm gonna leave it as what do we call our guys? Our Resentivets? I honestly can't remember. It's bad of me. We are the TOF. I'm gonna call it the TOF. You don't need to do what I'm doing, but I like to do this just for my sake. The TOF, Toffee, yay. So TOF. You could just say the Gummy Boat Mark 1. By the way, you can remove these underscores if you don't want. It doesn't matter. It won't show up in the game. But if you want to keep your area clean, for example, oh, by the way, please leave a .lua. That's incredibly important. So the Gummy Boat Mark 1. I could leave it like that, that's perfectly fine, but for my own sake, TOF. And then I'll leave a little bit of a hyphen there in the middle, just for clarity's sake. So I know if I leave the ship on the somewhere or whatever the heck, I always know what it belongs to. So you can open this up and you can actually, no, could I close all but this? Thank you. So you'll see the name, the Gunny Boat Mark 1. So you see, it doesn't really matter what the file's called, just as long as it has that 50 underscore, it'll work. And here is actually all the code that dictates what the ship looks like, which is funny. And you can actually see the flags of the command and the etc, etc. So you'll see the author here and the name if you want to change this sort of stuff. Maybe you exported it after. Anyway, you get the idea. Let's leave that alone. Okay, so now we have the Gunny Boat. Now the Gunny Boat has all the blocks of our faction. Okay, so I'm actually going to have to quit and reload, because obviously now I've added more stuff to it. So it's always a good idea to just reload whenever you make changes to your mod. Okay, preparing to launch Reassembly. Don't try and do syncy stuff now, please. Thank you. And the software games. Okay. Now, if we go start, Sol 6, we'll actually see our little ship. Okay, and we can click it and we can change the colors. Because I set primaries to 2, it means we actually get 2 choices. You can set it to 1, you can set it to 3, but do not go any further than that. That could be ludicrous. And I also need to tell you how. I'll get to that in a second. I might not. Let's hope I do. Okay, so we've spawned and we're in an area with green plants and friendly ships. Isn't that really nice? Lovely, 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 lovely. Oh, beautiful. What color ships? Yeah. So it's going to give me the little tutorial and I can just shoot around a little bit. Now you'll notice that we are going to start with. Oh gosh, sorry. I actually have a mod on. Sorry, I actually have a mod enabled that just gives me 8,000p off the bat because I'm testing mods and I like to just have instant access. But under a normal circumstance, you would start out with 300p. Yes, okay. In this circumstance, because the only ship that we have available is 771p, we would start with 771p and this ship because it's the only one available. The game will take. Will take the closest. Will take the ship with the closest cost to 300. Okay. So if you design a ship with 300p spot on dot, it will take that ship all the time. Okay. But this ship is 771, so we can't really use it all too nicely. Well, we can, but I mean it's just going to be a little cheaty. But whatever, it doesn't really matter. Now let's say that I had a 300 ship. So let's take this. Let's say I give it like. No, that's not going to work. That'll block the thruster ports. Now, the only sad thing about these types of seed thrusters is you can't actually stack them like that. It won't work, actually. Because they'll block themselves. So let's give it. Why am I doing that? Actually, it's quite a nice color scheme. I like this yellow and sort of reddy fluffy. Because I've changed it a bit when we loaded this in. Oh well. Let's give it some guns. So as you can see, it's already starting to go over 300. Why? Because this costs a hell of a lot. These guns cost a lot. So let's decrease this by a little. It actually does shoot really well, which is a funny truth. Giving some stopping, give it some go. That looked quite nice. I like that. That's fine. It has a basic block. Actually, no, we also want to give it this. because any blocks on your starter ship will be what the player has immediate access to. Okay. So now we have this unnamed ship. Let's call it Santarka Mark 1. Save it. That was a good idea. Let's export it. Export it to the desktop, and now we can actually just take it because it's already it's a local faction, so it'll be our number. So we can just rename it to just rename it straight on the desktop because why not? 50 underscore TOF Santarka. Okay, nice. So now we have a little starter ship, which will be 222p, but you'll still have a maximum of 300. Okay, so let's quit this. I actually like this color scheme. What is this? Interesting. I might change a few things just because it looks nice. Nah, I'm happy with that. Honestly, I would be interested to see what this looks like. Oh, natural. Okay, anyway. I'm gonna just quickly reload this, and so I'll drag that in there. Okay. Now, something we want to do. We want to set... Now, let's say, okay, we have the Santarka. So if we start a new game, it's going to use the Santarka. Start a new game. Preparing to launch Reassembly. Okay. It's going to load a new game. Oh, you can see the Ricochettium and the Plants of Gemini fight. Yeah, that's really one-sided. Never mind. Wait, did the POG actually... Oh, no. I love that. Yeah, the POG are very weak. It's sad. Okay, let's go start a new... Oh gosh, 97 files available. Whatever. Steam Cloud storage is nearly full. Clear slots to create space. Yes, I noticed. Okay, give me a second. Okay, I have a few more files available. So let's now launch... Ooh, why? Oh, right. It's my mod. Sorry, I'm broken. Give me a second. I need to actually change a few things. Okay, I have absolutely no idea what I've done, because now it's not, I'm given the maximum thing for my... I've even disabled quite a few of my mods, which is a bit sad. Like, some of them work, but that's because they've designated start ships. Like the Yolanda, they've designated start ships. Okay, alright. Okay, well, that's actually good, because now I can show you how to designate a start ship. Okay, so let's close that. Let's go into... Where are they now? There we go. Okay, so let's go to ships. Now, we're going to want to right-click, rename, and copy the whole name. Okay. Then go out to our editor, go to factions, go to start, we're going to turn this on, and we're just going to paste that in. Now, yes, so this is the reference file name that it's going to associate. So this is the file name it's going to look for, and that's the ship you're going to use. Okay. So let's save that. Give me a second. Okay, put it in. Now it should work properly. Preparing to launch Reassembly. Bum bum bottom bottom bum bum bottom 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 bobby. Okay. Should work. There we go. Now we can see that the Scientific Factismia starts you with just the little ship. Let's see how the proper color palette looks. Oh. Okay, not too bad. There's some plants. Some friends. Now an interesting thing to... Oh, why? Oh, it's because the mod's still active. So although, okay, sorry, I have it's my weird, something's broken, whatever. So now we actually start with this on Tarka, and that's quite nice. And under normal circumstances, we would start with 300p, but you understand I have something weird broken with my game. Which is honestly fine for me, because I'm going to do a lot of mod testing, but okay, oh well. We can open the thing. We can see that the top right color is displaying correctly, but the color on the map is at least right. So we can see that our guys will now start to go in Wonder and collect resources, which is nice and good. I actually need to check my mods, because something must be broken. Or my CVARs, it's probably the same. I mean, I was looking at my CVARs, but I'm not too sure. CVARs are another thing you might want to look at as a modder, because that's some stuff you can have fun with. For example, Splinter's graphic overhaul mod plays with CVARs and kind of changes display settings and how things are displayed, so how, you know, colors and whatever. So this looks quite nice. Not exactly the octagon we had presumed, but oh well, fair enough. Doesn't really matter. Oh look, it's a lovely little flower. Oh, how cute. Tutorials. Oh. You know, I thought of doing that for comedy's sake, but I thought, yeah, I mean, why not? And then the game makes me do it anyways. That's nice. So you can see this is proximity. So if it gets close, it'll just explode. Doesn't even need to even properly hit. Well, sort of. Yeah, you might not notice it, but it actually doesn't. It straight does a weird autocorrect. Anyway, so we don't actually have any stations for this faction. We also don't have any factories. But don't worry, that's simple enough to add. What I'm gonna quickly build. I'm gonna build some factories and stuff, and then I'll also make some ships for it. Ooh my! Okay, we might be a little bit overpowered as a faction. Never mind. Okay, fly. Okay, yeah, we're dead. But you'll note we actually have no way to respawn from. So it'll just respawn us somewhere random. Because we have no factory ships, we have no command craft. And if we do go fly to the blue factories, the blue you know, station reactivations, it'll just be some of our little ships. That's all it'll be. So we want to add some stations as well as a factory and some other nice fun weapons, maybe some drone launchers or a rocket launcher or something fun like that. But we can just torment the raids for a little bit now. Love the power of this gun, it's pretty good. Okay, I just got wasted. Okay, I'm gonna stop having fun. Actually, no, one more. One more go. Okay, we're actually just gonna build a powerful ship. How about that? Honestly, all I really want is just a bit of tipping, you know. We'll also add some triangles and stuff like that, because obviously we want some triangles. Let's actually increase turning slightly. Not necessary, but I would like some. Not necessary, but Laps wants it. Fair enough. Okay, nice. That's fair. Some Tarka. This should be like the Mark II or something. So this probably end up being the Mark IV, because look, it's like 1000p. So you can see that our weapons are a little too costly for anyone sane enough to work with. But they are really powerful. But, and even our core power generation is maybe a bit unbalanced. I say maybe, it's definitely unbalanced. So let's also put some of these on point defense. That's a good idea. I'll also show you guys how to designate point defense weapons, because that's the other reason I'm just flying around right now, is because I'm trying to remind myself what else I need to show. Well, that killed us immediately. Yeah, we are vanilla balanced, because we got destroyed by that craft. Nice, okay, I'm happy with that. Yeah, nice, okay. Alright, well, I'm actually gonna export this, because I like it. I'm gonna save and quit. And we're gonna go build ourselves. Don't kill my recording, okay. And we're gonna go build ourselves a... Okay, so we can just go here, blocks. So in terms of faction color 0, so we have it as red, yeah. This thing's full color, which is its color 0, is also red. So if we were to leave this as red in the game, this would stay as red. But if we were to say this have this teal and that red, then it would be really weird and things would get very confused very quickly. So this should actually be off. This should be teal. Okay. Now that kind of doesn't work, but does, because now color 1 is that. So now ignore shape, sorry. So now color 1 is this, which is your second color, and this is your first color. This is your second color, and this is your first color. But you know, programming terms of designating things. Okay, nice. So I also just want to add wandering in, because that always just makes things look alive. Nice thing to remember. I'll save that. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, now we're going to make ourselves a factory. Now, factories need to be decently sized. They need to be big enough to, well, okay, no, they need port. So any factories can use any block you want, but it needs to have enough space to obviously build the ship. Let's be strange. Let's use a right triangle, 5L. Oh, no, this is the B sort of triangle, and this is your normal kind of sane triangle. Let's use a sane triangle as a factory. So we're going to go features. We're going to go factory. Let's also just give it. You know what? Let's be fancy. Let's give it a shield because we're crazy. Let's also make this scale too. Yeah, because we're mad apparently, and we're going to make this red and teal with a yellow outline. Oh, so fancy. It's gonna be our little factory thing. And we'll let go to 103. Not most, but factories by default have 100 cost. But also the fact that it just has a shield will mean it's going to cost more. Delay, color, line color, damage color. Let's make damage color ready. Let's make line color yellowy. Let's make this color kind of teal-y. By the way, it's always a very good idea to set this to relatively opaque because it just lets people see through the darn shield, which is very nice. So the strength, we'll put it to 500. Regen is how much power it takes as it's regenerating. So this will take 200 power a second, and it'll regenerate 200 shields, and it's 500 shields. So this would sap on your power because it's taking more than you're providing. So let's put it at 90. So it's just under. You'll have about 10% power to fuel your guns while you're under attack. Sounds fair, one, doesn't it? So points 0, durability, density, grow rate. It's always a good. Always turn these 4 on, just so it's designated. Otherwise, sometimes things can be a little silly for no reason. Let's give it a capacity of 500 because it's a factory. You'll see this extra 15 has been added on because it's a little shield. Name and blurb. By the way, faction is 50. Ident is 50006. Yeah, 6. Name. Productive. Triangulum. Good. Okay. Okay, so that's our factory done and dusted. That's good. That's all you need for a factory. Let me show you how to make a point defense weapon. In fact, let's just copy this. Move the gunner rate over here. It'll revert to and then 7. Okay. Now, for the gunner-rater, we want to go to features and we want to turn on. Where is it? No, it's all the way up here. Auto fire. So auto fire will just mean it just automatically shoots at things. Okay. You need that for things like point defense and such like that. There's something I want you to not pay attention to in here. No, never mind. No, okay, no, never mind. It's something in flags actually that I didn't want you to toy with, and it's called point defense. Point defense is useful if you're making something like a little stations or little drones that you like pop off, and they're only point defense drones or something like that. But don't put them on your normal cores. It could mess things up. Okay, so the reason I duplicated the gunner rate is just so I can do this quickly. So this is going to be the. So we're going to make this thing weaker because your point defense should not be as powerful as your main weapons. Make that 8. Muzzle velocity. Leave it at 50,000. That's fine. Range a little lower because it's point defense. You don't want your point defense to be insane. You want your point defense to be nice and accurate. Let's actually give it a 0.01 mischance. Or 2. 3. Give it a little mischance because remember it does have proximity. Let's lower proximity to 10. So what's the cost for this? This is refusing to auto-generate for some reason. Well, it's just not there, and I don't know why. We'll just let the game figure it out. It's fine. So we're actually going to slow this thing's turret speed to about 4. So it'll take a while to actually turn these guns because they're quite powerful. So we have a factory. We have now a PD gun. We're going to call this PD gun. Just called PD gun, point defense gun. Yeah, fair enough. So we know how to make a shield, you know how to make a factory, now how to make point defense. So cannon, fire, turret. Oh, sorry. By the way, point defense. Binding ID is point defense, but also you need the auto fire function. It needs to have the feature of auto fire as well as point defense, otherwise it's not going to be able to work properly. It's just kind of how that works. Now, let's say we want to launch drones. We're going to want the launcher ability. Okay. Actually, you know what? Let's say we want to launch seeds. Or drone seeds. Let's launch drone seeds. That just sounds fun. So, just let's build a little block here quickly. 08. Okay, nice. Names. Battle Seed Launcher. Should be fine. Scale, I mean, not scale, shape. Now, for something like this, we want a designated launcher block. So, square launcher or square missile. No, not the square missile, sorry. That's for a missile, obviously. You want the square launcher because it has launcher hard points, whereas a missile has missile kind of attachment and thruster hard points. I touched on this last time, but not well. So most people use the rect launcher, the rectangular launcher, because it just has one exit point. Say you want to control it. You could use the Gem 2 launcher, but that's just finicky to fit into a ship sometimes. I personally want to go for the square launcher, but that is finicky to put on a ship because it'll have things on all sides, and that just makes life awkward. So let's just do this for now. Okay, nice. Let's give it a color of red and a line color of yellow. Sort of a yellowy yellow, then the yellow of the yellow. Let it auto-generate its point. It has no idea. It's fine. Let the game do it. Durability, density, grow. Leave that all on. Binding ID, right-click. Capacity, no capacity. Replicate time. So how many seconds will it take? I think this is. I think. Yeah. Oh yes. No. This is what's definitely off. It's either lifetime or it's replicate time. Was it lifetime that was off? Or grow rate? Look, something's off, I know it. Replicate time definitely is. So this is 1 second, this is 5 seconds, for example. So let's leave it 1 second just so we can launch many of them. Power, launcher power, how much does it need to shoot to launch out? Launch out speed and the angular velocity, so just, you know, figure it out. Let's just leave this, put this at 1200, launch out speed at 500. I am understanding this correctly, right? This doesn't even have a description. Okay, I'm just going to leave off angular, launch angle. No, let's put this at 10. Replicate time is 1. Okay, everything's nice. Now, we do have to define this little thing. Now, how do we do that? Well, we can either specify a block ID. So you make another block and you kind of say, you build it here and then you define it. But that sometimes doesn't work. So I advise you use define block below. So you'll call this like 50009, okay, for example. Okay, so it'll show it has this little block there. Group 50, designated as 50, because that's usually a good idea. Or you could just leave it blank, but you can't, because it is a required field. Yes, I know, I'm sorry, I'm being silly, aren't I? Okay, so we're going to give it seed, okay, so you can read this as well. Can plant on environmental blocks and asteroids with thrust. If also a thruster, enable the command settings section. Yeah, so seed, you don't need root. Root means it'll also be, well, seed, whatever. Okay, so root is for structures, seed is for seeds. It makes sense. If you want a seed that functions as a structure, that's fine. Just yeah, it's just the seed also means it's also a command. But it won't actually show the like little command graphic. It'll just kind of be blank, which is kind of what you want. But then again, drones usually don't display the little command, and if you're making a drone, you want the command. Whenever I'm being complicated, let's not worry about it. C, let's give a thruster, torquer. It needs torquer so it can move it, so it can turn itself. So you can see it's going very complicated very quickly. Battle seed. Yeah, that seems fair enough. Let's make it an actual seed shape, like that, like that. We could even make it launch. We could even make it launch little missiles if we want to do, but we're not going to go that crazy. Scale is fine. Make it yellow and teal. Line color yellow. That's a yellow. I want the more yellowy yellow. Yellowy yellow. Well, yeah, that's fine. So it's going to kind of do a little shifty color. Command. We wanted this faction 50. Blueprint has no blueprint. We don't even need to touch this. Don't need to touch that because it's just drone will automatically follow the commander. Points, that doesn't matter. Durability, density, grow rate, points. It doesn't need a points cost, but whatever. Lifetime, you definitely want to set this. 60 is about right. Usually. I'm more inclined to 80 right now for some reason. Seed lifetime now. This is exactly the same as this, but basically once it becomes rooted, it won't count lifetime anymore. Instead of lifetime, once the seed takes root. Sorry, I explained that terribly. Once it is time before the seed expires when rooted. Okay, so once it is landed and it is rooted, how long will it take before it dies is kind of the idea. So you want this to usually be quite a high number if you have a seed, so it can stay a while and kind of produce some energy. So we also want this to have photosynth, and no generator because we're going to put a gun on it probably. This is a silly ship, it doesn't matter. So torque, thrusters, make it like a yellowy, make it like a bluey. That's fine. It's really light, so it doesn't matter about its thrust too much. Let's just give it 20 because we're ludicrous. Let's make this 20 as well. Power capacity, power generator, photosynth capacity. Let's just make everything. Make this 300 photosynth per second. Make it 5. That's incredibly overpowered. Never do that. Make it like 1 or 0.5 if you're making an actual solar panel. Generator capacity per sec. Let's turn it 20 and 300. 300. Thank you very much. Still start filled example. Launch resources. How many resources will it have on it when it launches? Let's give it 20. Launch lifetime. You can read up on these. So, hello. Launch lifetime is lifetime basically. Okay, so don't worry about that. Hello. Fair enough. We'll just put that at 8. I was hoping it would give a nice little launch speed, launch capacity. It's the same thing, but that doesn't matter really all too much. Actually, no, it isn't. This is specifically for... Sorry, I'm explaining this horribly today. This is specifically for seeds, because usually seeds grow on plants, so they will launch themselves off. We don't need that, because we're on... Well, actually, no. Let's just be crazy. This is 60. This is going to cause something weird with this combination of bizarrity, but I don't really care right now. It's going to be funny. Since seed talker, I didn't give it a cannon. What did I give a cannon? Like I thought I gave something a cannon. I didn't. So, but you can see the little seed up here, and it's even got this little photosynth on it. Okay, nice. I'm not sure if this is going to work or not, but it could. Well, let's just give it a little cannon. Why not? Because I'm mad. Cannon. I'm mad as hell. I'm not going to take it anymore. I mean, not tractor. Turret. This is a silly, mad little thing. I love it. Ludicrous. Range, spread, rounds per burst. Burstiness, there's not getting anything burstiness. Color, explode, it's not explosive. Make it greeny. Make it damage 30. Give it crazy range, like 900. Give it a spread, like 0.1, just to show you how bad that is. Muzzle velocity, make it 900. Rounds per second, 3. Power, 5. Damage 30. 90 seconds, that's pretty fine. Turret speed, so that's fine. That's ludicrous, but done. Whew, okay. Okay, give me a second. Okay. Now let's launch reassembly and start putting some man things together. Okay, loading reassembly. More spaceships, render, etc. Okay. Okay, we're gonna go to Sandbox. Palette. Palette. Thank you very much. Do I have I actually have some water left, that's nice. 50. Now you'll see our new blocks. The thing is, if you go into the game, you won't actually see these in the palette. You won't be able to buy them because they don't actually exist yet. Let's give this. I see now it's going to fade between purple, null, and C because I set the one color as nothing. I thought that would be an issue. Whatever, you can. I'm sure you're aware of this by now. Sadly, YouTube has removed the ability to add annotations, so I can't really correct past failures. I also didn't add a triangle, did I? Oh well, that'll be fine. So now we have a little point defense. See when it's active, when it's not active. Active, not active. And it's see-through, so you can actually see what the hell's going on. Let's give it a seed launcher. Combat seeds. And of course, let's give it some guns. With seed stoppers. Seed stoppers, that sounds strange, but funny. It's a seed stopper. Buy now at your local corner market. At your local corner market. Yeah, hardy har. What am I doing? I don't know. Then we also wanted to build gather resources. Nice. Okay, so this is our little strange kerfuffler. Export. Kerfuffler. Mark 1. Allows it now. And this is how I build mods, people. This is how you do it. Well, with the RWDK. With coding it yourself, it just takes a little bit longer, but yeah, it works. The RWDK has obviously no human error. Well, it has human error still, but it has vastly less. I'm interested to see how this works. I thought that would be the case. But you can see it's actually planting itself on this, you know, sorry. Yeah, it's actually planting itself on these, blocks. These blocks, because they actually have the environmental thing. Now you see, these are actually getting shot at so far that they actually don't get any physics updates. Well, they don't get physics updated fast enough. I don't even think these would plant properly, would they? No, they do. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. It's the perfect drone. Why have I never thought of this before? And it'll shoot at enemies, right? Right, it will shoot at enemies. Private, you think it'll shoot at enemies? Hell yes, sir. Activate. Activated one ship. Yeah, so now it's going to just plant wherever. Let's go fleet 8. It'll just spawn us a small enemy fleet. Yeah, another seeds go and they attack. That's cute. Okay, go control the shuriken. Burr, 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 burr. Okay, now if I fly close enough, these will actually shoot at us. Ah, perfect. Not all of them, but some of them at least, which is fair enough. Burr, burr, burr. All these on point defense, really? No. Oh, of course they're flak guns. Of course they're on point defense. Ladies and gentlemen, the first spinner you've ever seen. Okay, anyway, so now we have this little ship. Fire! Fire! That's so funny. That is so funny. I like that. This is like artillery. Artillery drones! Pew! Okay. Okay, so now we have that. It's exported. It should be. Like I said, always a good idea not to break things. Let's go into this. Ships. Kerfuffler. And the incentive. Okay. Lock 1. TOF. Nice. Now we have 40 little ships. We don't actually have any stations, but that's fair enough. Let's reload the game. Reassembly. Reassembly. Okay, it's been 43 minutes. I really need to stop this soon, and by soon I mean like now. So I'm just going to show you this. I actually need to just clear myself a few saves. Give me a second. Actually, I don't even need to. Let's just load this, and I'll show you. So, okay, we're here, and you can see now that we actually have these things available. Nice. By the way, if we didn't have a ship with this on it, these wouldn't show up. So if we had just added these items, and we didn't have them on a ship, they would not show. And by the way, the game automatically sorts them in the data bank, so don't worry about too much about it. This is 1040C. Yeah, do you want to know why? It's 115p. It's the cost times by 9, I believe. Yes, it is 9. So whatever the p cost is, it gets times by 9, and that's the cost. Okay, nice. And we still don't have any generators for this ship, which is a very bad idea. You should always have generators for your faction, because otherwise people can't add more weapons, and then it becomes very unfun. Also, you'll notice that these ships haven't actually taken the Wandering perk yet. It's because this is an old save. So these ships actually don't have the AI flag in them yet, so they actually won't do anything. But if we save and quit, and we go, say, I think we won't actually have space, I don't know. Let's start it. Okay. Right. Lovely, lovely, and it's doing its thing. So now we have a little mothership here that'll just do its, do its work. That is so funny. So that'll launch seeds, and the way you build seed plants is identical to the way you build ships. So you take a seed, and then you build it, and then it'll kind of take. In the sandbox. By the way, a little cheeky tactic here. You can actually exit the game if you want to and be insane. So if I go, that's not what I wanted to do. Guy, they're gonna get wrecked. That's beyond the point. So if I go pallet 50 over here. So if you want to build, if you say want to build like a little something for this, you do that and be like, yeah, blah blah blah, and you give it like, you'd make some. What you do is you would make some. This doesn't actually have lifetime on it, yeah. So it's not actually gonna, it's not gonna expire until it's actually planted, which is what you want. So you can design this yourself. That's probably broke the game slightly. So just do that, and then you can export this, put it there, and then if you have faction structures enabled, these little things will populate the area. But always leave green plants on, please, always. Otherwise, it can be a little bit painful for players who need to be able to gather some resources. We can actually watch the fight. Lovely. Yeah, so this is how much the game world actually generates at any one given time. I'm actually breaking it slightly by going so quickly through it. It's not used to this sort of thing. Yeah, so now it's actually generating more game world as we go. And you can actually see all the. I know I've broken the fourth wall. It's so sad, but it's well. You can see our little thing. So yeah, I'll explain that next time. We'll go over plants and structures more. But yeah, so now you can make ships, and you can do stations in the exact same way. So yeah, until next time, everybody. Cheery, Rio.